Hey friends, welcome to the Friday check-in with Happily Even After Betrayal with Life Coach Jen. I'm so glad you're here. So let's get into it. So this week on my podcast, I talked about the loneliness of betrayal. And if this sounds familiar or if you resonate with this, I hope you go listen to my podcast. But it's so true. There is so much loneliness in discovering your spouse had an affair. First of all, it feels very isolating because most of us don't want to go, which I think it's smart, tell our family and our friends because we're so shocked. We don't know, do we want to stay married? Do we want to get divorced? What's going to happen? And so we hold all that in. That's why it's really critical if you don't have a support system to get a support system, because otherwise you're going to spin in your own thoughts, and those thoughts I know aren't really great thoughts. They're very harmful thoughts. They're very self-deprecating thoughts, judgmental thoughts for everyone in the story. Know that it's normal to feel lonely. And then getting divorced, for those of you that file for divorce, that can be a whole other loneliness. The thing is, you can be alone and not feel lonely. And that comes from figuring out, what do you like? What are you interested in? Many of us have been in marriages, it's like we're sleeping next to someone and we still feel lonely just because we're with people, or we can be in a crowded room or restaurant and still feel alone. It's a lot in our thoughts, our frame of mind, what we're putting out into the world. And it might be a skill that we needed to develop is how to connect with other people. And I promise your people are out there, and you aren't alone in the fact that you have a whole club of men and women who their spouses have had affairs. And I hate that we're a part of the club, but we are. I just think it's important to talk about, recognize that in you. If you feel lonely, what are some things that you can do to create the life that you want? And if you're lonely in this, having one friend, one person that you can talk to. We need to vent. We need to get it out of us. We can't keep spinning in our heads. Having a coach is so helpful. And of course, I'm an advocate of that, or a therapist, or both. The more people you can have in your support system is going to be helpful, and that's going to help your healing. You'll be able to move through the pain faster. In the news, I haven't been really intently watching it, but I'm guessing we've all heard of the doctor, the anesthesiologist in Hawaii who tried to kill his wife on that hike. And I want to talk about this because they had been married 6 years, possibly their second marriage, I don't know, but she was having an emotional affair. And so we have to be careful because there is a lot of intense emotions when we find out our spouse is having an affair. This guy is now going to jail because he was in a jealous rage. Who knows why he thought killing his wife would feel better than getting divorced. And I get it. It's so painful, but he hurt him and his kids so much more and ruined his life, ruined his kids' life because of jealousy, because of those painful emotions. I get it, but is it worth it? That's why it's so important to process our feelings after we discover betrayal, because things like this happen. They totally can. And I'm sure some of us can really relate to this, right? Last week I talked about reactive abuse. This man, just his ego, or who knows why, and now he's going to prison for attempted manslaughter. And I'm glad that he didn't kill his wife, but he's still getting punished, and that's a consequence. The thing is, I think so much of us is like, it wasn't fair that they did that. It's never fair. But let's not ruin our life to help us feel better, or whatever we were trying to get from. So many of you are sending me messages, or my clients, I'm talking to them and they just feel stuck. And I think totally makes sense. But one thing that many of us do after betrayal, we resist the reality. So this resistance inside of us, some of us resist feeling our emotions, or we can only feel anger, but there's lots of emotions under anger. And so we have this resistance, and that, just so you know, what you resist persists, and it's like a balloon. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to pop, and it's not good when it pops. And so resistance is not healthy for our emotions, as well as dealing with reality. So you're self-stuck, consider what aren't you accepting about the past. Just because we accept our spouse had an affair does not mean we are in agreement with it. We think it's okay. It's just accepting it happened. Now what am I going to do about it? How are we going to repair, or how am I going to move on? So, because we can't change the past. I wish I had a time machine. If I did, I would let you all borrow it. However, we don't. And so we have to just accept it if we want to get out of the resistance, so we can look at it and then what do we want to think about it now? And I'm not saying we want to think a good thought about it. We want to be sad. We want to be disappointed. We want to be angry. All those feelings, that's the grief. That's the loss of what we had. Because if we're going to stay married, we have to rebuild. We have to burn down our past marriage and rebuild a new, hopefully better, more amazing marriage. Or we're going to burn down our marriage and rebuild a life with a new person, move on, become single, right? Get divorced, and then create a different life. And both of those things can be amazing. I know you cannot see it right now. I know it's hard to see, and that's okay. We don't need to go too far out. We just want to keep our lens short. But the way to get unstuck is to pay attention. Are you resisting? And what are you resisting? What feels hard to let go of? And that's just good information for you. Something inside your body is telling you that is important to hold on to. And so we just have to try to wiggle it away with our thinking, with our feeling, process our emotions, get it out of us, release it, okay? And that is going to bless your life. Anyways, I hope that helps. If you're interested in seeing if coaching is the right fit for you, I'd love for you to sign up for a free coaching call with me and we can chat about it. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday.